Robert, who was the host up at Poetry Night in Bellingham, when I introduced myself, I spelled my name with an H, T-H-O-M. I said, it's Thom with an H. So that kind of became my nickname. So I think I'll start out, I'll read a couple from the chapbook, and then just move on to a few of the other things that I've written before. Yeah, I like fire. Let's go with fire first. I am the disco inferno, a danger to everything I touch. I am the passion in the poet's pen and the gleam of you in your parents' young eyes. I am the power of change. My energy excites, but I am a fickle friend, for I can be a fiend. My fury is a beast of heat when unleashed, scorching all the land. I am the caffeine in your coffee, the fuel in your gas tank, the spark of your life. I am a beacon in the night. I make the weather, for better or for worse. I am a bit of the Big Bang. Before that, I was dreaming. I am the rainbow's end. Your ancestors worshipped me and cursed me. I see everything, watching you at night in the mirror of the moon. Someday I will destroy you, but for now, I love you. Thank you.
I'm going to slide over here.
Water. Put the fire out. I am the Mickey Mouse molecule, a necessity of life and a bringer of death. I am the blood of everything. I carry the rainbow within my diamond heart. I can jump into the sky and hide in the atmosphere, surfing my way to distant lands. I am the level everything seeks. Around and around, I reign supreme. I can crack apart mountains and move them where I want. I pass through you, maybe once or twice a day. I am in your heart and in your breath. You lived in me before you were born, and you will dissolve back into me when you are dead. I am only so much, though, and I am very old. I partied with your ancestors. A lot. Needless to say, I have been around. I have passed through everything, more times than I can remember. You should think about that. The elements. There's 3 more in there for you. And some artwork that I've been trying to get promoted. Some kind of interesting Rorschach sort of images. Face. I call them like nature face. So you see the fairies in the fire here. Okay, we'll move to some sonnets that I've written. I've got a few that I brought down for you. Heated and hammered and hardened steel, sharpened shard of a fallen meteor, a wooden handle touched by lightning's peal, and a pommel of heaviest earthen ore. The blood brew fills, flowing in gruesome feast, when unleashed in the hand of noble knight, astride his barded snorting hellish beast, ordained by lord and land, and trained to fight. But sometimes the sword trumps the nobility, and the fury of the elements wins the war waging between humanity and the rising army of all our sins. What of the knights alive ordained today? Think you sword or nobility holds sway? Thank you. Around and around the rains returning carried as clouds on winds designed distant. Torrential downpours ever all washing with tons of water in timeless torment. At once, small raindrops free upon the ground by gravity get grabbed and dragged downhill, transporting mighty mountains pound by pound, destined to build new land as delta fill. Sweeping clean the land, the water washes unbound debris downstream, relentlessly attempting to level all that it touches, including raise its reservoir, the sea. Were I the land, all rain could not undo the mountain that's the memory of you. That was written for my friend Ginger Renslow, who died a couple years ago. More kind of naturey stuff. Grandeur seen in the optical display of sweet sunlight and raindrops in the sky. Reflection and refraction of Sol's rays release the colors that in each reside. Only half of what is the whole we see, a covenant, a bridge from there to here. No gold is found beside that rain-soaked tree, although it's there, it seemed the end appeared. In searching for that pot of gold, we strain to find the end of the rainbow outside in a world of shrouding mists and rain, perceiving not what our perceptions hide. The beauty of the rainbow, that's the gold, we cannot touch, but with our hearts we hold. Aw, this one's kind of lovey. This will be the last sonnet, then I'll move on to some haiku, I think. A drowning man has little air to lose and clings to life as bubbles rise above him to a surface which distorts his view. Below him are darkness and little love. He tries to cry, but no sound can be heard. Nearly wasted, he looks above again and sees something he thinks looks like a bird. Then thinks of angels, reckoning his sins. At last, a hand reaches down towards his life. He sees his lover, and she smiles back. He praises God, so sure she'll end his strife. He smiles as everything turns to black. If I were drowning and you were the sea, I'd gladly die to become a part of thee. Thanks. Haiku. So originally I'd started writing sonnets back after I'd taken a poetry class in community college and I was in the SCA. Everybody know what the SCA is? Society for Creative Anachronism. It's the crazy people that get together and swing swords at each other and dress in the medieval costumes. And yeah, SCA is kind of fun. It's, it's a hole in history that you throw money into. So I kind of had to get out of it. But I have a lot of great memories, and that's kind of where I started writing poetry in order to get girls. But so anyway, I picked writing poetry back up when I found Poetry Night, and kind of a friend inspired me to start writing again. So I was just kind of writing haiku at the time, and it's like a little word puzzle you put together. So here's a few of them. I don't know if I'll read all the pages that I have here, but a wind from the north, bovine fertilized fields. Smells like derriere. The masquerade. Every day we dance the dance. The masks become flesh. Let's go down to the end here. Who cares which came first? The order of importance? Nothing's chicken-shaped. Generals before math never really adds up to a war's aftermath. Acts of poetry, just metaphorication. The words doing it. Love is a monkey. Sometimes it's warm and fuzzy. Sometimes throwing poop. Monkeys love the sun, not for money, but for nuts. The sun warms their nuts. Okay, that's enough haiku. We got time, maybe we'll come back. All right, so this is kind of the free-form verse stuff that I picked up recently writing or whatever. This is a new one that nobody's heard, so I'm debuting it here for you all. I call it Dick and Jean. There are two paths before us, preconceived by the prophets of the pen, divinations once made in rooms of rich leather and the acrid smell of aging parchment and paper. What was the difference in their rituals? What was the difference in their hearts, destinations, so diametrically opposed? but both such potentialities of human nature, of greed or of altruism. Our ideals the one, our actions the other. Yes, there are two paths before us, yet it seems we see only one, and somebody switched the sign. Will we live long and prosper? Or are we androids dreaming of electric sheep? Thanks. Ah, yes, this is another new one. I guess this is my fracking poem. I don't have a title for it. It's hard to turn the tide when all it does is rain. It's hard to deny the rain when the crops crave it so. It's hard to deny the crops all their needs and desires, for they feed us and they built us. But the tide isn't turning, and the rains are now boiling in our passions for the crops and our dependency. The water is now burning in the taps of America, and the fire is spreading around the world. Thank you. Geologically speaking, that's the name of this one. Pondering into the future on a geologic timescale, the greasy smear in the rocks of our meager but magnificent existence might strike the interest of those future alien or cephalopod geologists as an anomaly in the instruments, a queer abundance of iron, hydrocarbons, and uranium-235. Yet, all that it's worth, all we've really done is move some crud from here to there and back, less helpful really than a gopher or a mole or a worm in the farmer's fertile fields after a good, hard, soaking rain. Geologically speaking. You're my captive audience, aren't you? I don't often read this one because it goes longer than 3 minutes. This was I was reading a bunch of Philip K. Dick, the Dick and Jane, Philip K. Dick, the dystopian future kind of guru. And also, H.G. Wells wrote a real dystopian novel back in the day. It's called When the Sleeper Awakes. Has anybody read that? It's a great freaking story if you have not read it. I got it. It's all I think free on the Gutenberg Project or whatnot. But it's a dystopian future. Apparently this guy goes to sleep and the guy that watches him fall asleep sets up a trust so all the money that he's got starts, building so that when he wakes up, 200, 300 years into the future, he's the leader of the world. But the people that are in charge of the trust are trying to keep him down while the other faction is trying to bring him up. And it ends very interestingly. So, I suggest reading it. This is mine that I call Dystopia. It's more kind of a saga almost. So. It was 9 a.m. on a warm spring morning. The smell of new life and destiny was cloyingly thick. Dirty dancing in the nostrils of those who gathered. About 27 townfolk were present that day to greet the approaching convoy of trucks. ITSI, it read in big black fancy script on the sides of the 4 clean white trucks. Interstellar Teleportation Systems Incorporated, a new corporation that promised to take hold of the destiny of man. News of their arrival lifted the hearts of the mild townsfolk. Some of the older men began to dance. Life had been so very hard the last decade or so since the end of the last great epidemic, but now they, the whole town, were destined for greatness. At least that's how the mayor had presented it. They had been selected to start a new human colony on the newly discovered Earth-like planet orbiting the Dog Star. Serious. Everything had happened so quickly. In 2112, amid the death and sorrow near the closure of the last great epidemic, it was announced that government scientists had made a stellar breakthrough. A near-light-speed starship engine had been built, and several expedited missions of discovery had been launched towards the nearby stars. It was on the news vids, and several new reality shows popped up showing the life and occasional death on an interstellar vessel. The ratings skyrocketed. People were hooked on Destiny. They found the planet circling the dog star during one of those less popular reality shows, in fact. Two Earth-like orbs beckoning the human race. At least, that's how they were described in the news. But in the end, the promise of a new home for humanity, free of this disease-ridden world, a chance for a new beginning, offered the hope for the masses of Earth. Then, a Swiss alchemist working on a new subatomic clock in a secret subalpine lab somehow discovered in a fluke of subscience the organic matter digitization and recombination algorithm. Soon after, the news reported so vehemently, an organic matter teleportation system was built. Who could have believed it when ITSI announced it had been developed and even started their new interstellar teleportation system? But there it was on the news vids. Commander Richard Tater himself was transported in a matter of minutes to the left side of the governor of the primary outpost on Sirius Beta. It seemed impossible, but so obviously true. The news never lies. It's against the law. The contest was announced around Christmas. The mayor immediately started touting the chance to elevate the standing of their small, God-fearing town. His fervor infected the whole community. The excitement built upon itself. The mayor preached about the destiny of man to reach out into the stars and grasp hold. He showed them the brochure. He had them watch the informational video. Couldn't they see that the new town was already built and awaiting them? They had to win the contest. The whole of the townfolk loved their new mayor. How could they lose? When the news crews arrived to announce that they were the chosen town, there was much rejoicing. Some of the older men began to dance. Who could believe it? They were the chosen few. Everyone began to prepare to leave for their new life. Needless to say, the mayor was right out front to meet the 4 clean white trucks and their fancy black script as they circled themselves into the near outskirts of town, driving around and around like a cat settling down after a satisfying meal. "Welcome, welcome to you," said the mayor. "We are all ready to get going," the townsfolk nodding eagerly. "Excellent," said the nice blonde man in his clean white lab coat. "Step right this way," he said with a smile, and indicated a set of steps that had just rolled out like a tongue from the back of a truck. The townsfolk watched in fascination as cables and tubing and hoses and wires and all sorts of scientific-looking things were strung out and connected between the 4 clean, white, encircled company trucks. "Don't be alarmed," said the nice blonde man. "It takes a lot of energy to send someone 8 or 9 light years into space." He smiled wryly and chuckled a bit. The townsfolk were soon laughing with him. Though polite, they didn't really get the joke. "Well, Mayor, first or last?" asked the nice blonde man as he hefted the clean white clipboard into his hands. "I think last," said the mayor. "That way I can shake each and every hand of the fine people of this town as they march on to a new destiny in the stars." And he did just that. The mayor took up a post at the base of those steps and shook every hand as the people of the town stepped one by one into that teleportation truck. Little Billy asked if he could take his dog. The mayor said yes. Old Lady Hattie asked if she could bring her cats. The mayor said, of course. Councilmember Sinclair asked if he'd be able to come back. The mayor assured him as he shook his hand, absolutely, and helped him into the truck. All the townsfolk had gone now. "Well, Mayor, it's your turn," said the nice blonde man in his clean white lab coat. Then they both started laughing, a kind of evil-sounding laugh. Here's the money the board promised you, the blond man said as he threw the mayor a cred stick. The board will be pleased. The yield from these folks was high. What did you do? Asked one of the crew. I started spiking their water supply with a chemical enhancer as soon as the fools elected me, said the mayor as he checked the cred stick balance. The nice blond man turned to his crew and bellowed, "Get a move on! We have dozens of other chosen towns to visit. Soon we'll have enough necro-nanochromium for the board, and the near light-speed engine will finally be complete, and we can take hold of the destiny of man." He turned back to the mayor. These simpletons will believe anything we feed them in the media. I mean, really? An interstellar teleportation device? I can't believe they fell for it. The mayor shrugged. How's the production coming along? You know, showing the happy colonists in the stars, he asked. Quite well, I think. Should be ready soon. They all did look very happy, didn't they? Asked the nice blonde man as the clean white trucks drove slowly away, leaving the scent of brimstone drifting cloyingly in the air. Dystopia, everybody.
What am I looking at? You want to be May 30 or time for a couple more?
Yeah, 2, 3.
I guess this one's called Hard as a Rock. Although one hears the phrase hard as a rock, the planet's crust is, in fact, considered brittle and thin, but still better than human skin. The largest organ of the body, the skin breathes in sunshine and exhales color and cries red and salty tears. It is our first set of clothes and our funeral robe. We know our skins are porous and weak, and we have come to be ashamed of them, so we hide our hides with others' stolen cloaks and daggers, telling ourselves that they are better than the first. More functional and protective, richer and more elegant. They stratify and elevate us. They separate and clarify us. They segregate and deny us until we have all become the crust of the earth. Brittle and thin, hard as a rock, but still no better than human skin. Thanks. You got a bee poem, don't you? You read one up at Poetry Night. This is mine. I don't know if you've heard this one before. I call it the ABCs. I have never seen an A. And the eldest of my elders has never seen an A. But he tells of a time when his elders lived in harmony with swarms of A's. The stories say that the strawberries were sweeter then. The apples were said to be crisper and juicier. And the squash couldn't help but smile on their vines. Oh, how I wish I had tasted the grapes and drank the wine in those days. But something happened to the A's. They do not talk about it. Those days and the A's are only a legend to me. There were no A's when I was born. I have only known the B's. And the B's know what happened to the A's. They were there. This is why they carry a sting and warn us with their bright colors and angry buzzing. No one now lives in harmony with the swarms of bees, but we steal their honey and starve their children. They have every reason to hate our ways, for they are now dying, and we are to blame. And when they are gone, the fruit will be less sweet, if there is any at all. And there will be a bitter taste left to linger in our mouths as we move on to the seas. Thanks. This is about my cat Luna, the dragon huntress. I was hanging in a walnut tree, swinging to the rhythm of the world, at peace with my impending demise, all life's anticipation unfurled. Evening had fallen once again, its long shadows swiftly growing, when by chance somehow I spied the dragon huntress hiding. Hunched down in tall grass, some irrelevant distance away, arriving early, her sharp eyes searching, gazing skyward, seeking out their prey. The dragons begin arriving, circling and swirling in the air, focusing on their hunting habits, their keen eyes completely unaware. Invisible and patient, at one with the tall grass swaying, waiting with her weapons drawn, the dragon huntress hiding. She begins her dance to draw them in, the sultry swinging of her rear, slightly out of time with her environment, enough to draw them nearer. Descending closer to her weapons twitching, an enchantment obscuring their eyes. How is it that they don't see her? At all this, I am mesmerized. Then, strike! With lightning speed, the dragon huntress pounces skyward. Her claws strike home in triumph. One dragon's humming no longer can be heard. She is the huntress, lithe and lean, her prey stricken from the sky, patting away with a poised pleasure at another dragon that will no longer fly. I was hanging in a walnut tree, swinging to the rhythm of the world, asleep now in my hammock chair, the huntress on my lap now curled. One dragonfly dead, no longer in the air. Thank you.